Hey, what's going on? Rogue here. How's everyone doing? Today, I'm going to be bringing you an update to my DDD deck. Recently, we've had a lot of support come out, and this is post Dimension Force. So, without further ado, I'll dive right in. Kicking it off with my main guy here, the DDD Destiny King Zero Laplace. He's really awesome because you can special summon this guy before damage calculation. If he battles an opponent's monster, you can activate his effect, and his attack becomes double that monster's original attack until the end of the damage step. Now, he's an easy special summon because all you gotta do is tribute one DDD monster to put him on the field. So any DDD, you just tribute them away. Boom, free summon for this guy. And if this card attacks a defense monster, it pierces, but I don't think that's really going to apply very often. Cool thing about this guy that I like the most, though, is the first time this card would be destroyed by battle each turn, it's not destroyed, and you take no battle damage from that battle. So he's a body on board. You don't take any damage, and it at least won't be destroyed by battle at least once. So I wish it would say by card effect as well, but maybe we'll get some support in the future where they get like a blanket protection that keeps them from being destroyed by card effects, which would be really, really awesome. Now, following up next to the big guy here, running not one, but two, Go DDD Divine Zero King Rage. Divine Zero King Rage is not only just a low scale in the pendulum zone, but he also protects you from your dark contracts burning you for damage. If you would take effect damage, you take no damage. First line of his pendulum effect. If you would take effect damage, you take no damage. But he's also got a bonus pendulum effect. It says if you normal summon a level 5 or higher, you can do it without tributing. So kind of work in unison. Like, he just allows you to literally just normal summon this guy. But if you don't got this guy, you can tribute any DDD to special summon this guy. So they work together. But if you get him in your pendulum zone, literally just normal summon this guy. Easy normal summon. But running two, because we not only use him in the pendulum zone, but he's also so good in the pendulum zone, protecting us from our dark contracts burning us and allowing us to just normal summon our big guy here and other big DDDs. And they're gonna want to destroy him, so we got a spare just in case. Also got a spare to use it as fusion material, and also got a spare in case it ever comes up for a pendulum summon. Now, if you tribute summon this guy, his monster effect says when he declares an attack, if your opponent's life points is 4,000 or less, you make this card gain attack equal to your opponent's life points until end of turn. And he cannot be destroyed by battle, and you take no damage from battles involving this card. Similar to this guy's monster effect. But really, really awesome. You can also tribute one other monster to make him attack directly. So if your opponent's life points are 4,000 or less, and this card gains attack equal to your opponent's life points and attacks directly with attack equal to your opponent's life points, he's basically an automatic win. Automatic. Yes, I said automatic. He's an automatic win. Otherwise, if you didn't want to attack directly with him, two other abilities. If you were to tribute a monster, you can your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in the spell and trap zones, or your opponent cannot activate card effects in their hand or graveyard. So somehow tribute summon this guy, and you're going to do lots of searches and draws. He'd protect you from being ashed, unless he got effect veilered, of course. They would have to negate his effect. So if anything, run two of them. In case one of them gets negated, one of them gets destroyed. Always run a spare. I'm tempted to run this guy at 3 because he's so good, but right now seems to be doing just fine at 2. So that's all for the big guys. Set them on to the rest of our DDDs. Running 1, 2, 3. DDD Oblivion King Abyss Ragnarok. This guy is awesome for getting your combo plays off. put him into the. You want to get this guy in the pendulum zone, because if you special summon a DD monster, then you get to target a DD monster in your graveyard and special summon it, but take 1,000 damage. Now that's where this guy's ability comes in. Right here, he would allow you to get his ability for free, because if you take effect damage, you take no damage. So this guy tries to burn you for 1,000. This guy would negate it, and boom, you'd have a scale between 0 and 5, which allowed you pendulum summon your level 4s and lower, and just kind of go off with lots of plays. It's really awesome. But yes, if you special summon a DD monster, you can target a DD monster in your graveyard. Of course, it cuts any battle damage your opponent takes for the rest of this turn in half, but that's just fine. I mean, for getting into combo plays. So definitely 3 copies of this guy, because he's fusion material. His pendulum effect is awesome, and he's a scale, just all around versatile. These are like the all-stars right here, the main bread and butter aside of our fusion package in here. Some more other just fusion targets and extra tech. Running 1 DDD Supreme King Kaiser. And what's really good about him is he is a level 7. So he will be between your scales, which is really, really nice. Not these scales, but some of the other ones. If he's pendulum summoned, all face-up cards your opponent currently controls have their effects negated. So he's like, he's got a built-in Kali Yuga, sorry, built into him. All face-up cards your opponent controls have their effects negated until end of turn. I mean, that's just amazing. And once per turn during your main phase, if this card was pendulum summoned, you can target 2 cards in your spell and trap zones and destroy them. And if you do that, for each destroyed card, this card gains an additional attack, and his attack is 2,800. So you want to pop some contracts, or you want to pop some scales, however you want to do it. I think that's primarily what it's referring to. You use your scales to bring it out as a pendulum summon. You negate all their card effects, and then you pop your scales so he can attack twice. But if it was me, I would more than likely pop my contracts, just to get out from under the contract, and then attack twice with him. But he's got that. It's really good. Hasn't really came up, though. More often than not, you'll just use this guy as fusion material. Continuing on with more of our DDDs. Got one DDD Chaos King Apocalypse. In the scale zone, you can banish 2 DD monsters from your graveyard to special summon this card from your pendulum zone. So from the pendulum zone, you can literally banish 2 DD monsters from your graveyard and just special summon them to the field. Boom. And then you have a DDD on field to tribute to special summon this guy. So it all kind of just goes full circle. Also running 1 DDD Rebel King Leonidas. Take it for what you will. It's but he's also got another protection from your dark contracts. When you take effect damage, you can destroy this card, and if you do, any effect that would inflict damage to a player this turn increases their life points by the same amount. And this triggers when you take effect damage. So, take effect damage, destroy him, then any more effect damage you would take for the remainder of your turn, you gain that much. So, standby phase comes around, your dark contract triggers. You say you got more than 1 dark contract on the field. 1 burns your life points while he's in your skill zone. Pop him. The next ones are going to give you your life points back. So, really, really good. Just have to make sure you do your chain links properly, because you're gonna want your lower burning dark contracts. It would normally burn you for like 1,000. Take that damage, pop this guy, and then if you have one that burns you for 2,000, instead you would gain 2,000, and in the end result you would be gaining 1,000. Would be the difference, and so. But also, if you pendulum summon this guy to the field, or you get him on the field, when you take effect damage, you can special summon this card from your hand. So during the standby phase, when your contract triggers for you to pay the cost, take the burn, special summon this guy. So you can combo off real well with this guy for him to be a free summon. Your dot contract triggers, which triggers his special summon. This chains to negate the burn damage. He gets summoned, take no damage. Maybe not in that order, but essentially that's how it works. Because this guy says, when you take damage, you take no damage. And this guy says, when you take damage, you special summon him. So you're going to special summon him and take no damage. It's really good. He's 2600 attack. So he's also a DDD, which you contribute to special summon this guy. Yes. And also continue on with more of our DDD. Or, well, actually we're getting into our DDs. That's all for our DDDs. That was all for the DDDs. Moving on, please. We'll put these over here. Alright. One DD Savant Newton. Almost said DDD. One DD Savant Newton. This guy is mainly, well, not really, I mean, he's a high scale. Yes, you can use him as a high scale, but I don't prefer to do that because he locks you into only pendulum summoning DD monsters. So, but he does have the bonus pendulum ability that once while this card is in the pendulum zone, you can negate and activated a trap that would inflict damage to you, then destroy him. But don't ever really use that. I mean, if you want to use him on a high scale, it will lock you into DD, so that's why I don't recommend it. Mainly, he's got the monster ability of you can discard this card, then target one DD or Dark Contract card in your graveyard, add it to your hand. So, bringing us back to, where is he? This guy right here. Okay. Pendulum summon this guy, and he pops to your Dark Contract so he can attack twice. And then you can discard this guy right here, target one of those Dark Contracts that you just popped, and add it back to your hand. So, really good synergy right there. Also, got our fusion engine in here with triple DD Swirl Slime. You can banish it. Sorry. If this card is in your hand, you can fusion summon a DDD fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand as materials, including this card. You can also banish this card from your graveyard to special summon one DD monster from your hand. And DDDs are also DDs, so again, if you use this for a fusion summon by discarding it to the grave plus whatever else, then you can banish this from grave to bring out any one of these big guys over here. We got the Zero King or the Destiny King simply by banishing this from your graveyard. For the other half of the fusion engine, running double Necro Slime. Don't really have too many graveyard fusions coming up very often, so takes a little setup. So that's why I'm only running Necro Slime at 2 instead of 3. I actually did drop it down to 1, but then 1 wasn't enough because I wanted to see it with my swirl. But I didn't want to see Necro Slime like with something else, other than the swirl. So 2 has worked out pretty nice in that aspect. And if Necro Slime is in your graveyard, you can fusion summon one DD fusion monster from your extra deck by banishing fusion materials listed on it from your graveyard, including this card. So 1 fusion summons from the hand using materials and itself, and 1 fusion summons from the grave using materials and itself. So very good, very good. So that's all for the fusion package. Right there. Okay. Also running double Savant Kepler for our searcher. Searches out our dark contracts. You can add 1 dark contract card from your deck to your hand. He's also got the other option, and this is anytime he's normal or special summoned. But it's a once per turn. So once per turn, whenever he's normal or special summoned, you can either target one other DD card you control, bounce it back to the hand. Say, only one that comes to mind that I would even consider bouncing back to hand brings us back to the Supreme King Kaiser again. Just to be able to recycle his blanket negate ability. So you pendulum summon this guy out, right? Then you, or say you pendulum summon both of these. Pendulum summon these 2 from your hand. He blanket negates your all face-up cards your opponent controls. You can either search a dark contract with him, or you can use him to bounce Kaiser back to hand, so that you can use his blanket negate again. So yeah, sorry, I keep putting those off camera. So yes, double Savant Kepler for the search and the recycle of the Kaiser. Now we also have a new one in here, one of the new cards, running double DD Griffin. Excellent extender for comboing off and combo plays, getting star level out there for synchroing, Xyz summoning to your rank 4 to get into your Divisor King Deuce. It's really, really, really good because if you control a DD monster, you can special summon this card from your hand in defense. Period. If this card is pendulum summoned, again, like the Kaiser has the if it's pendulum summoned ability, you can discard 1 DD or dark contract card to draw a card. Now, if this card, if this Griffin is pendulum summoned, you can discard a DD or dark contract card, draw 1 card. If this card is special summoned from the grave, say off of Ragnarok, because it's when you special summon a DD, you can special summon a DDD, when you special summon a DD, you can special summon a DD from your graveyard. So, if you got Griffin in grave, you can add 1 DD card from your deck to your hand. So he also gives you a search as well, any DD card. So that's really, really good right there. He can get you into your fusion engine if need be. He can get you into your Supreme King Kaiser, blanket negate guy. He can get you into any of these bosses. So really, really good. Right now, I'm just running them as 2-ofs because I got so many things going on in the deck right now. This deck will continue to evolve as I play test it. And yeah, so if any changes in the future, the only ones that I foresee is probably bumping Kepler up to 3 and the Griffin up to 3 and seeing how that plays out. Moving along, also running 1 DD Cerberus. It's also another vital combo piece because when you have this in the pendulum zone as a scale, you can target a DD monster you control and change its level to 4. And if you notice, Griffin's level is 4, and it's also a free extender, level 4 extender. So you can make, say, a good example here is if, no, wrong one. Where is it? All right. So if you had these 2 right here in your scales, use it's this one's ability to banish 2 DD monsters from your grave, special summon this guy to your field, trigger Cerberus, make this guy level 4, summon your Griffin, boom. Then you can use your DD Chaos King Apocalypse and your Griffin to come into a rank 4 and get into your Divisor King Deuce Machinex. So, some good, really, really good synergy right there. And a little combo tip thrown in there with it as well. So that is all for the DD monsters. Okay. On to the contracts. Running Dark Contract with the Gate at a 3-of, because you want to see this. You always want to see this. This searches your DD monsters from your deck to your hand. It's really, really good. It gets you into all the engines of the deck, essentially. This gives you full access. You want that at 3 of. Absolute staple 3 of. Also running 1 Dark Contract with the Swamp King, so you can fusion summon a Fiend type fusion monster from your extra deck, which is really cool. I like how it says that it doesn't lock you into only fusion summoning a DD or DDD. You can literally fusion summon any Fiend type fusion from your extra deck, any, as long as it's a Fiend. Very, very key point there. I feel like a lot of players possibly skip over and ignore the fact that you can use this to fusion summon any Fiend fusion. Also, it allows you to use monsters from your hand or your side of the field as fusion materials, and if summoning a DD fusion monster this way, if you do decide to go for a DD fusion monster this way, then you can also banish monsters from your graveyard as fusion material. So just wanted to stress the versatility of the Swamp King. You can, if you can go into a DD fusion, then you can banish materials from the graveyard. Otherwise, you can use materials from your hand or field to go into any Fiend type fusion monster. So leave a comment in the comment section below if any specific good Fiend type fusion monsters come to mind. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. And continuing on with the contracts, also running a Dark Contract with the Yamamaki, because we are running a lot of high level DDDs in this deck. We run this because during your main phase, you can target 1 DD Pendulum monster in your graveyard, place it in your Pendulum Zone. Alright, so say they got rid of in your graveyard. Okay, so say we used the Swirl Slime to send one of our boss guys to grave to fusion summon, okay? Like this guy right here, for example. Say we sent this guy to the graveyard to fusion summon. You can use the Dark Contract with the Yamamaki to pull this guy out of the graveyard and put him into your Pendulum Zone. Really awesome. Or any other good scale DD Pendulum monster. During your main phase, you also have the option to place a face-up DD Pendulum monster from your extra deck in your Pendulum Zone. So, seeing how our big guys here, okay, sorry, seeing how our big guys right here, their levels are so high, we just don't have the scales in the deck to get them back. If we lose these, like they're generally just gonna stay gone. Okay, because we won't have a way to pendulum summon them back from the extra deck. So a good tech card to get them back out in play somehow is the Dark Contract with the Yamamaki, because you can place them into your Pendulum Zone. Yamamaki makes sure that one of these is going to be in your Pendulum Zone, either from the graveyard or face up from your extra deck. Awesome sauce right there. Love it. So 1 Dark Contract with the Yamamaki for its versatility. And last of the Dark Contracts, let's make space for this one. Not very many players run this, if any at all. I may be one of the few that do, but I feel like in today's meta, it has some versatility. Some, okay, because it does have its limits. But 1 Dark Contract with the Eternal Darkness. And what's really interesting about this card right here is it literally says, while you have your scales, essentially, 2 DD cards in your Pendulum Zones, your opponent cannot target monsters on the field with spell or trap effects. So that's really awesome right off the bat. And they cannot tribute them for a tribute summon. Okay, so monarchs aren't going to be using your stuff to tribute away. Nor use them as materials for a fusion, synchro, or Xyz summon, so they can't super poly them. Alright, they can't They can't even use the new zombie engine to steal them and Xyz into the zombie vampire. Once per turn during the standby phase, you'd have to take 1,000 damage, but in the way this deck's built, you're not going to ever take that damage. So if you're not going to take the damage, why not? Why not? Just go ahead and use it. I mean, your opponent can't target monsters, any monsters on the field with spell or trap effects. Literally. They can't target any monsters on the field with spell or traps, nor can they tribute any monsters on the field for a tribute summon, nor can they use any monsters on the field as materials for a fusion, synchro, or Xyz summon. I mean, I know this doesn't cover Link, but it covers enough to where I feel like a one-of in a deck where I'm not going to take the damage anyway is worth it. So that's all for the Dark Contracts. All right. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section below. Would you run a Dark Contract with the Eternal Darkness if you could play it without having to worry about paying its cost? Is it worth it? Is it versatile enough? You think it covers enough, or is it just a bad card? Or just not good enough? Tell me your thoughts. And some of our tech, just our extra tech to make that just helps run the deck. One for one. Okay. This helps us get into our Kepler, and Kepler helps us get into the rest of the deck. One Foolish Burial for setting up our Necro Sign plays and our Swamp King plays. One Monster Reborn because it's Monster Reborn. Should always run a Monster Reborn in every deck. One Upstart Goblin because we want to try and make this deck a little bit faster. Draw a card. If we give our opponent 1,000 life points, who cares? It doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter. Doesn't even matter. And one very interesting tech card that I like a lot because it just has so much synergy with this deck. One Dreamland. Because this deck can do it all. I mean, this deck fusions, this deck synchros, this deck Xyz, and this has an ability for each one. I mean, if you fusion summon, once per turn it says, if a monster is sent from your hand or field by a card effect, you can draw. So every time, so once per turn, just for fusion summoning, you're going to draw a card. If you synchro summon, once per turn when a monster is normal or special summoned, you can increase their levels by 1. Oh, sorry. It's based on the monster you control. If a monster is sent from the hand or field to the graveyard, depending on the monster types on the field. Okay. So this card gets an ability based on what type of monster is on the field. Now, I've had all three. I've had a fusion, a synchro, and an Xyz monster on the field consistently with this deck. So you're going to have your options of whenever you normal or special summon a monster, you can increase their levels by 1. Fusion summon, if a monster is sent from the hand or field to the graveyard by a card effect, you can draw a card. And if you have an Xyz on the field, then once per turn during your end phase, so every time you end your turn, you can destroy monsters on the field with the highest level. Not sure I like that one too much. Because most of the time you're probably going to have the highest level on the field. So, but, yeah. You can activate these effects depending on the monster card types on the field. So you can. It says, this card can. So I feel like they are optional. You can choose. You don't have to destroy your monster if it's the highest level on the field if you don't want to. But it is there. So Dreamland, one Dreamland, just because I felt like DDDs didn't really have a good, they didn't have a field spell, which is interesting that they don't. They have plenty of Dark Contracts, but no field spell. So one Dreamland for the different Dimension Demons. Also running one Crackdown, one DD Headhunt for stealing opponents' monsters. I like Crackdown a little more because DD Headhunt says you have to control a DDD monster in order to resolve that one. But it does have the bonus effect that also, if it is a monster special summon from the extra deck that you stole with DD Headhunt, it is also treated as a DDD monster. So you do have that bonus. So you can use their monster as fusion material. So 1 DDD headhunt and 1 crackdown. Also running 1 pendulum dimension and 1 pendulum scale. I really like these because these work really well for the deck. These are also some of our new spice, some of the new additions to the deck. Pendulum dimension says whenever you if you special summon any of these monsters using a pendulum monster as material while this card is face up, then you get to activate the appropriate effect. And you saw this deck is full of pendulum monsters that we're going to use to get into our extra deck. So Pendulum Dimension says, if you use a pendulum monster to fusion summon, you can special summon 1 monster from your deck with the same original level as the fusion monster in defense, but you do negate its effects. That's still fine though. I mean, it doesn't say you can't attack with it, so that's good right there. And then it also says if you synchro summon using pendulum monsters, you get to add a polymerization from your deck to your hand. There's no polymerization in the deck, so we don't worry about that one. But if you Xyz summon using pendulum monsters, which is what you would do with this card, because you would fusion summon. Alright, when you fusion summon, you would special summon a monster from your deck that's the same original level. And you'd skip right on down to Xyz summoning. Alright, because more often than not, you're gonna fusion summon, then you're gonna special summon your Griffin, and then you're gonna trigger this to special summon another level 4 from the deck, maybe another Griffin, maybe a Cerberus, another level 4 from the deck. And then you're gonna Xyz summon, and when you Xyz summon, you're gonna take 1 tuner from your deck by triggering your pendulum dimension. When you go into your rank 4, you're going to take 1 tuner from your deck with an equal or lower level than that Xyz monster's rank. So level 4 or lower, because you'd be going into a rank 4, and you'll add it to your hand or special summon it. So that'll get us directly into our Lamia or any other tuner from the deck. So simply by going rank 4, you'd get into your tuner. Boom. Really awesome stuff. So yeah, from that point, all you need to do is trigger your Ragnarok, special summon a DD from the grave, synchro summon, and use your rank 4 to get into your Divisor King Deuce Machinex, and you'll end in a Divisor King Deuce Machinex and some sort of synchro summon, and all with the assistance of Pendulum Dimension. Also, Pendulum Scale, a new trap card from Dimension Force. If you have 2 cards in your pendulum zones, which we're going to be doing quite often with this, you activate, apply the following effects based on the difference in the pendulum scales. And more often than not, the difference is going to be like 7, or it's going to be up there, or 8, because we're usually pendulum summoning, anything from 8 or lower. So this says if the difference is 7 or more, return up to 2 cards from your pendulum zones to the hand. Then you can special summon 1 pendulum monster from your hand. There's your monster for your synchro summon. So a pendulum scale, if you have 2 cards in your pendulum zones, apply the following effects based on the difference in your pendulum scales. So more often than not, it's going to be 7 or higher. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, sorry about that. And right here it says that if the difference is 4, 5, or 6 in your pendulum scales, you can add 1 level 5, level 6, or level 7 pendulum monster from your deck to your hand. So right here we got 3 level 7s we could add to the hand. Boom. And then it says if it's 7 or more, the difference is 7 or more, return up to 2 cards from your pendulum zones to your hand, then you can special summon a pendulum monster from your hand. Boom. There's your synchro summon play from to fully resolve your pendulum dimension over there. And then also it says if the scale differences are only 4, 5, or 4, 5, or 6. 1, 2, or 3, then you add one level 2, level 3, or level 4 pendulum monster from your deck to your hand, which are, in our case, would only be the level 4s, and we are running 1, 2, 3 targets for that as well. So 3 level 7s for a target and 3 level 4 pendulum monsters for a target to fully resolve the pendulum scales, to be able to search you something. Now I know it says and if the scales are zeros, you need to destroy 2 spell or traps on the field. So the difference is nothing. Then you can destroy 2 spell or traps on the field. So if you literally got 2 pendulum monsters in your out in your zones, that and the difference is 0, like there's no difference, and they're pendulum scales, you're gonna be able to destroy 2 spell or traps on the field, anywhere on the field, which I think is actually really, really good. Because guess what? Let me show you something here. Get these out of the way. Move that off to the side. If you got these in your scales, boom. There's no 0 to 1. 0 to 1. The difference in those scales is 0. You're going to destroy 2 spell or traps on the field right there. 0 to 1. There's no difference in those scales. So, and these are really good to even have in your pendulum zone anyway. So, because you can, during your main phase, you can add face-up DDD pendulum monster from your extra deck to your hand. You know, that's pretty good recycle right there. If your Griffin gets sent to the extra deck because you've extended it, used it, went to the grave, you can use this to add it back to your hand. And then, of course, we already know what this guy does. Protects you from effect damage and allows you to normal summon. So, yeah, I mean, just putting these 2 big boss monsters right here in your scales, this is going to allow you to pop 2 spell traps on the field, which is really, really good because it doesn't even specify face up or face down. So, just a little added something there. Wanted to point that out. And that is all for the main deck. Now on to the extra deck. Oh, no. We got some extra spice. Now on to the extra spice. So for the extra spice of the deck, running 1 DD Lilith. You can target a DD monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand when she's normal or special summoned, or when she's normal or special summoned, you can add 1 face-up DD pendulum monster from your extra deck to your hand. More getting back your pendulum monsters. This deck is super strong on the pendulum. Recycle back to the hand, pull it from the graveyard back in the pendulum zone, pull it from the extra deck back in the pendulum zone. If it's face up in your extra deck, you're going to put it back in your hand. No matter what, you're going to keep putting your scales out there to be able to get into those pendulum dimensions and tip the pendulum scales of the different dimensions of demons within the dreamland. Also running 1 DD Lamia for one of our tuners. So we can get into our synchro plays right here. Alright. And that's all for the DDs. Now some of the non-DD spice. Okay. Running 1 Danger Bigfoot as an extender. He's in level 8. He's a 3000 attack. Potential to pop a card or even draw a card. Also running 1 Abominable Unchained Soul because he's a level 8. He's a fiend. He's 3000 attack. He's an extender. He can pop a card. Extremely versatile in this deck as a one of. And last but not least, 1 Curse Necrofear for the recycle and the extension. And it's a level 8. And it's a fiend. And it's got 2800 attack. If you got 3. You can target I believe it's target 3 of your banished fiend monsters. Special summon this, and if you do, shuffle those banished monsters back into the deck. So if you used like some of your extra deck, your fusion materials or your Xyz materials or whatever from the grave with Necro Slime, banishing them all so you can get into fusion plays and whatnot, then Curse Necrofear can return those back to the extra deck or main deck. Necro Slime can go to the main deck, and those could go back to the extra deck, and you would just recycle everything that you had banished for your plays. So 1 Bigfoot, 1 Unchained Soul, and 1 Curse Necrofear for my personal spice in the deck. And other spice, 1 Gravedigger's Trap Hole, because when your opponent activates a hand trap or a monster effect in their graveyard, or when your opponent's banished monster effect is activated, you can negate that. And if you do, they burn for 2,000 damage. So this is really good because this is going to help you get them down to 4,000 or less life points, so you can resolve some of your things for like your Zero King. So he can, if their life points are 4,000 or less, then you can be setting up for your OTK with this Gravedigger's Trap Hole. They'll be digging their own grave. And then last but not least, 1 Karma Cut. I have thought about cutting the Karma Cut, but I like the fact that it allows me to discard a card. Maybe I want something in grave. Necro Slime might be sitting in there with lack of material or something. I really like that it's an extra discarding from hand, like the Bigfoot, between the Bigfoot and the Swirl Slime and this Karma Cut helps to get your monsters out of your hand or get your contracts out of your hand, whatever, because you can recycle all of that back and use it from the grave. But when you do discard a card off Karma Cut, you get to remove from play 1 face-up monster your opponent controls. Banish a face-up monster they control. So removes a problematic issue from the field. Love it. So if there's something you can't get over, then you non-target banish their monster. And that's all for the main deck. Now on to the extra deck. We are running the big guy, DDD Divisor King Deuce Machinex, alongside our DD Duodon King Kali-Yuga. Alright. And for the last of our Xyz monsters, running 1 rank 4 DDD Wave King Caesar, just to help us get into our Divisor King Deuce Machinex. Alright, and we do got a link engine in here. Running 1 Beat Cop from the Underworld, just because I needed a generic link too, just to be able to get stuff in grave. Maybe they negate one of your Xyz monsters' effects is just sitting out there with no effect. Well, then you can link it away and recycle it back to the field with Ragnarok. So the Beat Cop from the Underworld is really, really, really good in that aspect. Also running 1 DDD Abyss King Gilgamesh to set our scales on the board straight from deck. And last but not least, running 1 Appaloosa Bow of the Goddess, in case we end up extending wide with this deck and we need some serious negation power, then we can go into our Appaloosa Bow of the Goddess. And that's all for the link engine. Got a fusion, our basic fusion engine, running 1 DDD Flame King Genghis with triple copies of the Flame High King Genghis, because it is a level 8. Make it just that much easier to get into our rank 8 plays and our big synchro plays. Want plenty of stars on board. Plus, Flame High King Genghis comes with a once per turn spell or trap quick effect negation. Doesn't destroy, just negates though, unfortunately, and helps to extend into more plays if you normal or special summon a DD monster. You can special summon a DD monster from grave. Last but not least, for the fusions, running 1 DDD Wave Oblivion King Caesar Ragnarok. And if I was to change anything about this deck, I would probably back off on one of my Flame High King Genghises to put in a Pendulum Fusion monster. just because I like to have the variety, like a synchro pendulum, an Xyz pendulum, and a fusion pendulum, just all around. But went this route with this particular build. So one DDD. If you don't know what the Wave Oblivion King Caesar Ragnarok does, it has a once per turn when an attack is declared involving this card. So when it attacks or someone attacks, this 3,200 attack, 3,000 defense, big beefy Wave Oblivion King. You can target one other DD or Dark Contract card you control, bounce it back to the hand, and if you do, equip one face-up monster your opponent controls to this card. So same effect as your Deuce right here. Boom. Both these guys will be equipping your opponent's monsters. Some good synergy right there. So that's all for the fusion. Also running a Dark Dimension Soldier for getting your banished monsters. You can banish one card from your hand and target one of your banished dark monsters. Special summon that monster face up or face down defense. So, and then during the end phase, inflict 100 damage to your opponent for each set card on the field. Again, getting their life points down as low as possible to get into that Divine King 0. OTK. Also running an Odd Eyes Meteor Burst Dragon, because when this is special summon, you can target one card in your Pendulum Zone and special summon it. So it's another way to get either one of your boss monsters from the Pendulum Zone out on the field. Really, really good. I love that effect right there. So, and it's also got a built-in also running one Groza Tyrant of the Thunder, because during your opponent's main phase, as a quick effect, for you to target an effect monster on the field, discard a monster, setting up your grave for Necro Slime or Swamp King plays. And if you do, it's basically like an effect veiler for that opponent's monster. You negate their effect for the turn. So, and if you discarded a Fiend, which you most always will with this deck, is it's like 98% Fiends, then you get to choose to whether to have your Tyrant of Thunder that's 2,800 attack, 2,800 defense, to where it can't die by battle, or can't be destroyed by your opponent's card effects, or your opponent just can't target this card with card effects. However, whatever fits the situation for the moment that you drop this guy out there to negate one of their monster's abilities. And last but not least, we are running the big guy. That one that can really take out some big problematic situations. One DDD Gust High King Alexander, because DDD DDD Gust High King Alexander says if you have 3 total DDDs on the field, he becomes 6,000. So if you got a DD here, you got a DD here, plus itself, it's 6,000 attack, which is really amazing. And he also has that if another DD monster is normal special summoned while he's out there, then you get to target a DD monster in your graveyard and special summon it. So really, really awesome. I mean, more extending, plus it can become 6,000. Super, super good. Love it. And that is all for this DDD deck update. If you enjoyed this deck profile, be sure and attack that thumbs up button. And if it's your first time to this channel, be sure and set that subscribe button. With notifications activated so you don't miss any more amazing Yu-Gi-Oh! Videos just like these. This is your rogue underdog gamer signing off. It's your move.